there's a story in the Bible that really, has made my mind working because I weren't able to understand it. But then I gave it some thought and I think I found out something real cool I want to share with you. But this story is about Jesus straight after he was baptized in the Holy Spirit. What did he do? Did he heal a lot of people? Did he make a lot of lectures? No. He ran out into the wilderness and stayed there for 40 days without eating to battle his inner ego. Now, in most Bible translation, it stands that he went into the wilderness to battle the devil or Satan. But I don't believe in Satan. I think he was invented, in the Middle Age. So I went back to the Greek text, Textus Receptus, and I checked it. And there's two names or two words that are going on in this text. And that's Satanas and Diabolos. And this is not a person. Diabolos, it means the accuser. And Satanas, it means the thing that fights against you. And in this sense, it is the thing in you that fights against the spirit in you. So this is actually two notions of the ego. Because the ego is the little thing in you that processes and try to everything you experiences and try to keep your whole existence stable. Okay. So if people are overweight, the ego will keep them overweight. If they're underweight, the ego will keep them underweight. If they're lazy, the ego will keep them lazy. If they're working a lot in a business, the ego will try to make them always continue to work and never take a holiday. That's the ego. It just wants to have stability. But we need it, because, it's the ego that makes us eat, to go on the toilet, to make all the functions work in our body, to even keep our body temperature. But we shouldn't let our lives be controlled by the ego. And therefore, when Jesus, he gets this force from God, he goes out into the wilderness to set his priorities right. To let his spirit rule over his body. And he's how to meet 3 temptations. 3 times the ego is trying to take control of his personality. And the ego is trying to do this in 3 ways. 1, it takes his willpower. 2, it manipulates his feelings. And 4, it takes his thinking. So I will not translate directly from my paraphrasing from Greek. It's Norwegian. So I hope you excuse me if I need some time just to think it out in English. So Jesus was going out in the wilderness, and then the ego weakened his will and said, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to be bread." But Jesus answered, "It is written, human beings doesn't live by bread alone, but by the life energy that comes from the relationship with God." So of course he's not eaten for a while, and he's starting to feel weak and hungry. But then he realizes, that, even while the body needs food, of course it does, the inner life force we have is really from God. And that's the primary thing. This is actually more important. Because, the body you will only have for a lifetime, but the life force from God you will have for eternal, And then comes the second temptation. Then the ego took his feelings and lifted him up on the temple in the holy city and said, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, because it's written, He, or God, shall give his angels commands to protect you, and he shall lift you so you never touch the ground." But Jesus answered, "It is also written, you shall not test the Almighty God." And here's the thing, sometimes, when the feelings takes over, you think it is so right to just follow something. You might be very in love, or enticed by someone, but that's maybe not a good idea. And this can also happen, in the spiritual thing. We really think that someone are from God to lead us, but they aren't, because we shall build our own relationship with God. I even heard stories, I don't know if they're true, about people, actually, in India and stuff, putting themselves in all type of dangerous situation because they think that since I love God, God will love me and save me. Of course, it doesn't, and then we get like lot of weird types of deaths, like people just standing in the front of the railroad or being stepped on by elephants or other things, not recommended. And the third temptation, then the ego took the consciousness or the thoughts of Jesus and his took his attention and thought and lifted him to a high mountain and said, and showed him all the kingdoms of cosmos. It's actually there in Greek, Basileia Cosmos. It's awesome. And he said, all this I give you, if you get down from your divine height and worship me. So the ego says, hey, if you are just selfish, and just use all your power just on yourself, you can have the whole world. You can crush the Roman Empire. You can be like dictator of the world, You can even be like a cosmic dictator. And Jesus says, you shall only worship the Almighty God, and He is the only one you should serve. Then the ego made peace, and the angels come and serve him instead. So you see, Jesus, he doesn't want himself to be controlled by the ego, neither in the willpower or in the emotional life or in the thought life. And we can learn a lot about this. Also, when we meet, problems in our usual life. Because, if we think we are dependent on outer circumstances like food, shelter, having a job, social status, all those things, yeah, they are important. But it's even more important to have a connection with God. So get the connection with God first. That should be priority one, because all these other things we only have for a little while. But, the connection with God, that's really the thing that can actually create things and that we have forever. And when it comes to emotions, when you feel like, I just have to follow my heart, I have to do something, If you said, I just have to follow my personality, you'll actually see how stupid that can be sometimes. The thing is, you have to have a balance between thought and feelings and, use your consciousness together with God. Because there are many times, our feelings can lead us astray. And then we should remember, we shouldn't test God. We shouldn't think that just because we are doing something, then God will take care of us when we take our feelings. I feel particularly sorry for people, who take drugs, because it felt so good or it was so interesting, and they thought that there were a force on the other side that would protect them, and, well, there weren't. So, because God doesn't work like that. He has given us free will in His world, and He's not going to take it away just because people are stupid and follow their feelings. If you only follow your feelings, you will learn by consequences, and the world are made up of consequences, and some of those consequences, they can be pretty harsh. And the third thing, don't, worship the ego in your thoughts. Don't believe like, oh, we are just here for one life and we are all going to fight each other and compete each other, and if I can like crush all these other guys, I'm so much worthy than them, I deserve everything, blah blah blah. That's a horrible thing. But the thing is, if you're like are very very focused and being very good at something, yeah, you can win in a competition. And you can get amazing power and status by doing that. But the thing is, you're just creating something for yourself for a short while. You're not building your house on God. You're building it, on sand. That's another awesome, expression from Jesus somewhere else. So it's like building your life on connection with God. And remember, God is not something outside you. You are a child of God. It is building our lives on the realization, the understanding that we are children of God. from that feeling of the spirit within. You know, that's the thing. And not letting us be encumbered by will or thoughts and feelings. Of course, we shall have much willpower and a lot of beautiful feelings and a lot of smart thinking. But we shall, as the spirit, shall be in control of our willpower, our feelings and our thoughts. We should not let the outer circumstances dictate those three. And we shouldn't let those three dictate ourselves. But it actually needs a lot of deep prayer and communion with God to understand that we aren't our feelings and we aren't our thoughts and we aren't our willpower. It's just tools we can use, but they are magnificent tools. And that's what Christian magic is always about. You know, it's about controlling your willpower, your feelings, and your thoughts to create a better world for yourself and everybody else together with God. Out from that identity you find in God. Out from that power you find in God, because you are children of God. No, I hope this was enlightening and interesting. You know, I have a lot more videos that covers a lot of other cool stuff, you know. If you haven't seen it yet, you know, check the thing about how I met Jesus for real, because that's pretty awesome. Particularly if you have met Jesus yourself, because, you know, you might see that there are something of the same, because we people that have met Jesus, you know, and see that he is real, it can be a little bit hard, you know, when there aren't that many other people talking about it, and you wonder, you know, how to react to it, how to continue to build that relationship. And particularly in the end of that video, you know, there's a lot of cool things. So